The Whispering Pines by Jaxon Dorne. Introduction. Dana Crowell never thought she'd come back to Pine Hollow. Yet here she was, gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles turned white, peering through the mist that rolled in over the two-lane highway. The tall pines crowded on either side like silent sentinels, their needles brushing together to create a constant hush. Almost like they were whispering secrets to one another. That sound had once sung her to sleep as a child. Now it only made her skin crawl. She'd left this place behind 14 years ago, after high school graduation, determined never to revisit the ghosts that roamed her memories. But life had a way of pulling her back. Her mother's weakened voice over the phone, the woman Dana had always known to be as tough as the stony shores of Maine, made it clear that time was running short. Illness had a way of toppling even the mightiest. Pine Hollow hadn't changed much. It was still just a speck on the map, one of those insular New England towns where nothing truly new ever happened. At least, that's what the brochures might say. If you asked the residents, they'd tell you in hushed voices that strange things had a habit of lurking just beyond the tree line, waiting. It was the sort of place where mysteries quietly brood, where every shift of the wind could be something more than a trick of the atmosphere. The closer Dana got to her childhood home, the thicker the fog became. Even at mid-morning, the light was wan and strained, as though the sun couldn't quite break through the dense canopy overhead. The air smelled like damp earth and something else, a metallic tang that reminded her of the coppery taste of blood. She shook off the unsettling thought. Lack of sleep and too many nights tossing on a sagging motel bed were just playing tricks on her nerves. Rounding the last bend, she spotted the sagging Victorian house she remembered all too well, its gray clapboard peeling, the shutters hanging crookedly, and the battered porch swing still dangling by a single chain. In the driveway, her mother's old sedan sat, collecting pine needles on the windshield. A sense of dread pressed on Dana's chest, mingling with guilt. She should have come sooner. Maybe if she had... She killed the engine and listened to it tick in the sudden silence. No birds, no crickets, just the faint hiss of the wind weaving through the pines. It sounded uncomfortably like voices. She inhaled slowly, trying to steady her breath. This was just the old childhood fear creeping back, she told herself. The same fear that had plagued her dreams ever since that sweltering summer day when Morgan, her best friend, disappeared into the woods behind town and never returned. The memory still had claws, and it raked across her mind at the slightest reminder. She forced herself to move, stepping out onto the gravel driveway. The wind picked up, slicing through her jacket, and she shivered. As she reached for her suitcase in the trunk, she thought she heard someone call her name from the forested edge of the property. She spun around, heart hammering, but there was no one there, only dark silhouettes of trees fading into the swirling mist. "Welcome home, Dana," she thought bitterly. This time she wouldn't run. She couldn't. Her mother needed her. And maybe Dana needed this place too. Needed to finally face the fear that had followed her all the way from childhood into adulthood. Still, as she climbed the rickety porch steps, the whispering pines behind her sighed with an almost human breath, as if they recognized her return. And at that moment, Dana could have sworn the shadows under the trees bent just a little, reaching out to greet her like old friends.